What's up, guys? MLB Talk 123. I'm going to do a quick outlook of different trades that the St. Louis Cardinals could possibly make, and I'm going to be looking at this team so far this year. The thing is, bullpen, huge issue, obviously, as if you haven't been watching any news, you would know. The closer issue. Fernando Salas has done a great job, and he's promising at the least to say. If he can get these saves done and only blow like 3 or 4 saves throughout the year, if he's the closer, that's going to be a great job because I don't think Heath Bell would do much better than that. So I don't think it's worth to give a lot of prospects for it if Fernando Salas can keep it up. It's just time will tell. And GM John Mozeliak also pretty much said that, they're not going to rush into anything because they have so many pieces that are not really stories that aren't told yet. Offensively, we haven't seen enough at shortstop to say Ryan Theriot needs to move over to second base. He has 10 errors that should be enough usually, but his offensive numbers have been very good, and he's added a good mentality to his club, kind of like a David Eckstein. But I think the best move would be if we could find a shortstop and move him to second. But then that leaves out Skip Schumacher. So it's a lot of hard options for this team. For now and the long run. But for right now, bullpen issues. We need to bullpen. What I don't get at all, and I'm kind of not too happy with this, is hearing that Hideki Okajima clears the waivers. You're looking for a low buy type of guy who's a left-hander who can be very effective, and he could go to St. Louis, which is the best baseball city to go to. If he's struggling in Boston, take him to St. Louis, and you have Dave Duncan. Why? He has such a, delivery that can really throw you off. He's left-handed. I hope the Cardinals made a run at this guy. I really do. Because he clears waivers like nothing ever happened. Oh, he's cleared waivers. He can go to AAA now. How would a guy like that clear waivers? He was so good for the Red Sox a few years ago. Or at least I remember he was good for him. He's a left-handed, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be more effective than Trevor Miller. So, if you're looking for bullpen help, you could have just found it. I think an Hideki Okajima would have been a good ad. He's struggling right now. You get him Dave Duncan, he might have a lot of holds for this Cardinals if they would have brought him in. That's what I'm kind of mad about this week. That they, there's no news. I can totally see the Cardinals claiming Hideki Okajima. They need bullpen help. But I think ultimately the decision with GM John Mozeliak was probably the fact that they should probably wait and see, well, if Fernando Salas isn't getting saves, then why would we go and, I'm not exactly sure how the whole waiver thing works. Either you just claim them and you pay him some money, or you just claim them, or you just trade him player or something. If that is the case, then it really differs. I don't know too much about the waivers to really say much, but what I'm just saying is that common sense, it looked like a good ad if we could get Hideki Okajima. Now, if you had to trade guys to get it, I could see John Mozeliak saying, well, we should probably wait because if Fernando Salas can't get if our bullpen, if our closers, I'll say, fall apart, then why would we waste prospects or waste money on a setup guy when the main issue is the closing role? Because if no one can get some saves, you move Fernando Salas back to the middle relief. And that middle relief is very strong with guys like Jason Mott, Fernando Salas, Eduardo Sanchez, Brian Tallett, Trevor Miller, Miguel Bautista. I don't believe in Trevor Miller, but Miguel Bautista or Ryan Franklin. Neither three of them have been effective this year. Bautista started off good. He hasn't been effective of late. I don't believe in him. He's 40 years old. His ERA does not tell the story if you watch him day and out. And then Trevor Miller has not been effective at all. That's why, right off the bat, I'm thinking a left-hander, Hideki Okajima makes sense. But if they need a closer, they might want to wait. But John Mozeliak talked about the bullpen. He said, not to rush into anything, which totally makes sense. Fernando Salas got 8 saves. Doesn't mean he's going to end up getting 35 saves or 40, whatever. He's a closer right now. We've seen this happen many times this year. It changes. So if he blows 1 save, I think they'll probably still go back to him at this point because of how many saves he's had. But if he blows more than 1 in a row, I think they're probably going to go to a different guy because at this point they can't afford to lose games from having their closer in when really they don't have a closer. But I think it's really just who's ever going to be getting saves out there is going to be the closer, and that's right now is Fernando Salas. I want it to stay like that. He's pitched great all year. I think he's a good pitcher. I've always liked him from the start. This whole season, I've been watching him put zeros up every inning he pitches. And I'm like, okay, he can do so good in the middle relief. Transfer it to closing. And we're trying out, all these different guys. And I was actually a fan of Mitchell Boggs at first. I'm not going to lie. I was a fan of him. I thought he was going to be the Cardinals closer. I could see him as a Chris Perez type guy. They're total different players. But for some reason, they kept connecting to me like each other. You know what I mean? Even though they're totally different players. So it probably doesn't make sense at all, just kind of the image of them. I was just seeing him as a good closer, and it worked out for a little bit. Now he's in AAA. So don't even know exactly what happened there, but obviously something happened. But, so bullpen issues, they're going to have to look at the trade deadline. Pretty much 100% sure that unless Fernando Salas saves 30 games and only blows 2 or 3 games, and then our middle relief is doing great, then they might not deal for a guy. But I think that ultimately they're going to deal for some help, relief pitching at some point, or closer. So that will be more expected. Another situation that might be possible, the Mets, if you listen to Fred Wilpon's comments, I was listening to ESPN, and they were kind of analyzing these. They were saying, is this honest or dumb? They're saying it was honest. Actually, it was Sports Nation, flipping channels or whatever. Sports Nation said that it was honest, but actually the people that would vote said it was dumb. I totally agree. I think it was super dumb. I don't think it's honest at all, really. It might be honest for him, so I guess that is honest. But if he thinks that that is the actual honest opinion of those players, I think he is totally wrong. And he should not be the owner of the Mets if he thinks that. You got a team that is struggling. You got a team that's under 500. How do you treat them? By calling out their best players? That doesn't make sense. Another thing that doesn't make sense. You're telling me that this isn't dumb. He says, Jose is a good player, but thinks he's going to get Carl Crawford money. He's not that good, or something like that. Number one, I doubt he was talking to his agent about contract figures for after this year. I really doubt that. So, to say that he wants Carl Crawford money, number one, he probably never said that. He's probably just inferring that he's going to think he can go out in the free agent market and get tons of money, which he probably can. I'm not saying Carl Crawford money, but he can probably get around $100 million in the free agent market, or even maybe more, depending on what team it is. So that's dumb. I don't think that's honest. That's not a good... If I was being honest and I was the owner of the Mets and I was talking, what do you think of David Wright and the recent, maybe trade, whatever, contract extension, I would say this. Jose Reyes is one of the heads of our franchise. He has been a huge asset to our team the last few years. We would love to keep them, but with our money as it is, we probably won't be able to meet his needs in the next year for a contract extension. It would be great if we could load off some of our salary to afford him, but the reality of it is probably we're going to have to trade him and start rebuilding this team. That's being honest. I think most people can agree with me is that's exactly what's going to happen, most likely. And Fred Wilpon talking about how, his players, he's obviously not going to be a support of a contract extension if he's talking about how Jose Reyes, kind of dissing Jose Reyes and David Wright. Obviously, he's not going to be talking to Jose Reyes about a contract extension, offering him more than $100 million or something. So, a contract extension doesn't seem likely at all. So, they're going to probably have to trade him. If you're asking me to be honest, I would tell them we're probably going to have to trade him. That's honest. What he said was dumb. I think there's a fine line between them. David Wright, he says he's not a superstar. You can't call someone who's been a superstar not a superstar because he's had a slow start this season. Every player can't be perfect all the time. I bet David Wright's going to get out in a hot streak. Now, I know that he's been kind of up and down the last few years. No, not actually the last few years. It just seems like that because it's been like 1 year. Last year he started off kind of slow too. His power numbers were up, but the year before his power numbers were down. So I think that's how I'm thinking the whole ups and down thing. You can't call him not a superstar. Are you kidding me? David Wright is a superstar. If you are saying that he's not a superstar, then how could you call a comparable guy like maybe a guy Dustin Pedroia? Is he not a superstar? Is Derek Jeter, is he not a superstar? The point is, you know, those are some guys that are the head of their franchise. I wouldn't say Dustin Pedroia is the exact head of the Red Sox. They have a ton of different guys that are. But he's one of them. He's one of their stars. And David Wright is the one. There's probably 2 or 3 superstars in the Mets, or at least used to be. Jason Bay, not so much anymore until he comes back to his regular Jason Bay self. But David Wright and Jose Reyes are really the 2 that are superstars. How is it honest to say he's not a superstar? David Wilpon is probably, you know, he's the Mets. Think of how many merchandise sales they get from Mets jersey of Wright. All this stuff with Wright on it. He's their superstar. He's on posters. He's on their website. He's their superstar. He's their franchise leader. You can't say he's not a superstar. That's just dumb. That's absolutely dumb. He's like, oh, he's a good guy, but not a superstar. So that's inferring that he's not that great at baseball. He's a good guy. His personality is good. I like him, but he's not amazing at baseball. Fred, I would like to see you go on the baseball field and try to be as good as Jose Reyes or David Wright. You know, this guy, I don't like Fred Wilpon. I think a lot of people are starting to dislike him. I never heard him say anything until these comments, and they're just kind of tell a personality of a guy. Unless he was having just a terrible day and just said some stupid stuff. This guy is garbage, really. I think it's dumb. I mean, how is that honest? I don't think it's honest. Anyway, I didn't mean to say Fred Wilpon is dumb. It kind of got away from me there. I don't think he's dumb. But I do think that is just not the correct way to be honest, if that makes sense at all. But anyway, the Cardinals could go after Jose Reyes. Imagine, you know, moving Ryan Tero to the second would help defense and offense a ton. Jose Reyes would add a ton of spark to this team. It would be great to see him leading off the lineup. Maybe imagine a lineup like this, Cardinal fan, if you know the production was. Jose Reyes leading it off, just ripping it up, stealing bases, creating offense. Colby Rasmus, he's already had one of the most runs in the majors. Then you got Albert Pujols, if he's back to himself. Right behind him, Matt Holliday. Then you got Berkman, who's been fantastic. You know, then you got, when David Freese comes back, him. You got Yadier Molina. This team is going to be fantastic, you know. So, a lot of options out there for the Cardinals. And so, I think that those are some trades they could look into. And there's tons of other trades. I just don't have time to talk about them. I've ran about 13 minutes. I love my Cardinals. I should have a freaking podcast or something. I can just talk about them. But, I didn't mean that stuff about Fred Wilpon. I mean, I think that he was not smart to be like that. But I don't think he's dumb. I don't know the guy. He made some comments. I think his comments were not very smart to make, especially with his team like this as it is. I don't think those are honest comments. I think they're pretty dumb. I think his comments are dumb. I don't think he's dumb. I think his comments are dumb. But I think he really needs to respect his players more. Those are his franchise guys. So I'd be like bashing like Matt Holliday or something, or Albert Pujols. Albert Pujols is on a different level, but Matt Holliday. Stuff like that. But, alright, thanks for watching the video if you stuck through it. If you really like just hear me talking about the Cardinals and baseball. So, good. School's almost out. Summer. Yeah. You know what that means, right? Baseball. A ton of stuff going on in summer. So, I'll see you guys later, alright? Just comment if you want me to make a certain video or something. Alright, see you guys.